Welcome to my home away from home. I am so glad to be with you this morning, and it is a beautiful morning. I have really enjoyed the last few days of the fall and seeing the leaves change and seeing the world around me transform into beautiful colors. I needed to see color. Have you ever been at a place where you thought, well, I don't know what day it is. I don't know what time of the day it is. I don't know what day of the week it is. I don't know my schedule. I don't know where I belong, what I'm supposed to be doing. And that's how I've been, for quite some time in a fog. And so I'm trying to pick up some pieces to where, I'm going back to work and working with the after schoolers, and I'm driving the van, and I'm seeing that I've got appointments and I've got commitments coming up. And so I feel like I have been in a fog. It's been so cloudy for me. And I'm sure there's someone listening right now and saying, that's how I feel. I feel just like that too, Phyllis, that I feel like I'm in a fog. I don't know how to see what tomorrow is. I don't even know how I lived through yesterday. I don't even know what my Thanksgiving's going to be or what Christmas is going to be. I feel like I'm just floundering. I'm out there just, I'm scheduled, but I'm just going through the motions. And, I don't know what got you there. I don't know how you got there. I know how I got there through the process of surgeries and cancer and recovery and reconstructive surgery. I mean, I know how I got there, but I'll tell you what, we can get there without all what I went through. We can get there by having some trauma to happen in our lives, something we just did not expect, a sickness, a job loss, a relationship that went bad, something happened to your child, something happened to your mom, to your dad. I mean, there's so many things that could happen, could threaten, and I understand that. I always say this when the kids are out there at Shiloh, they touch that hot fence, and I tell them it only takes one time because you won't do that again. Listen, I've gotten hit with the hot fence before, and I thought, why did I do that? Why did I straddle the fence? Didn't I know that it was on and it was active and it's raining, and I got shocked majorly? Didn't I know that was going to happen? And so one thing can just change your life. One thing can just detour your life, or one thing can transform your life. And I want to talk to you that, God kept speaking to me in my worst of all of this. He kept saying, you have better. There's better. There's better. In the worst of pain, God says there's better. When I was around my family, when I'm living with my family and they were looking after me and taking care of me, God says, you've got better. And all I could think of is, I know that I'm here. I know I'm in this, but I have better. I want to read something to you because God showed me that when you're in a safe place with God, when you're hiding and dwelling in his presence, and I want to read that to you. In Psalm 91:1, it says, he that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. But I want to read it to you in another translation that really I have clung to, because I have had to find a safe place. I've had to find a place of safety, that I could stay there, I could lodge there, that I know that I was okay, that I was protected, and that he was all I had. God was all I had. Because when you're up walking the floors in pain at 3 in the morning, there ain't nobody walking it with you. They're asleep. When you're sitting there eating a meal alone and can hardly eat the meal because it's falling out of your mouth, hey, you're there alone. When you're there trying to make decisions, what's the best thing to do for the ministry? What's the best thing to do for Shiloh? What's the best thing to do? Well, what's next on your schedule? How are you going to come out of this? What about November? What about December? I mean, those are the things you think about. But in the Knox translation, it says, it is he that rescues me from every treacherous snare, from every whisper of harm. Someone even thinking about it, somebody just whispering, somebody just plotting behind the scenes against you. And it says, sheltered under his arms, under his wings, nestling, thou art safe. His faithfulness will throw about a shield about thee. He'll throw a shield about you. It says in Isaiah 4, verses 5 through 6, he was talking about Israel. And he says, I'm going to be, light to your day, and I'll be light to your night. I'll be a shade for you. But I love this part. It says, for over all the glory shall be a canopy, a defense of divine love and protection. He's your canopy. Do you know when I found a safe place? And this doesn't happen to everybody. This isn't going to happen, oh my goodness, this has got to happen to me before I find a safe place. No. God has a safe place where you are right now. God has a place of protection for you right where you are now. You don't have to have surgeries and taken away from your home and the ministry and taken away from being able to read and being able to function. That doesn't have to happen, but I will tell you that in the middle of where I was, God spoke to me because I had nothing. I was at His mercy. I had nothing. I didn't have anything to depend on. I couldn't tell someone to be my eyes, though my daughters were reading to me and people were helping me to see and reading the cards for me and reading some messages and texts and everything, or reading some devotions to me. But when I entered the safe place, when I entered and dwelled and nestled with God, is when I had nothing. I had nothing. You can have nothing in the process of having everything. But I learned that I had nothing. I didn't have anything to depend on. He was all my dependency. You can have a nice home, a nice car, you can have a good job, and you can still find a dwelling place. You don't have to be stripped. But for me, I found a safe place of protection. I felt good. And it was as it was in the days of Moses, when Moses was hidden in the cleft of the rock, and God passed by. He says, you can't see my face, but you can see my hind part. Now you can see my backside. And I want to read that to you. And it shall come to pass in Exodus 33:22. It shall come to pass while my glory pass by, I will put thee in the cleft of the rock, and I will cover thee with my hand while I pass by. You can see my backside, but you can't see my face. That's what He said to him. And I want to talk to you. What does cover mean? When God says, I'm going to cover you, it means that He's going to fence me in, that He's going to cover me all over. He'll protect me. He'll defend me. He'll hedge me in. He'll join me together. He'll set me up, and He'll shut me up in it. He will lock me in. He will protect me. He will protect you from whatever you're going through. You say, I feel like I'm so scattered. I feel like I don't know what I'm supposed to do next. I feel so scattered. I feel so lost. Well, then find that safe place in Him. Lodge in that safe place with Him. Shut yourself up in the presence of God. Find yourself dwelling in His presence, and not just dwelling there, but nestling there. I had to know that I had to give up everything to find that place of safety with Him, protection, that I knew that when I called on Him, He would answer me. When I asked of Him, He would answer me. When I needed something, He would be there to answer me. He would be there because I trusted in Him. I leaned upon Him. He was all that I had. Do you know that while I was struggling with everything with these surgeries, and at night I would be so full of pain, I could not focus or think about anything but the pain. I literally felt like I was going insane. I felt like I was going insane. The thoughts that was tormenting me, the attack of my mind, the attack on my body, why don't you just give up, And one thing that the enemy kept saying, well, if you would just go back on narcotics, because I couldn't take them because I was a former addict, and it's easily to get addicted to. If you would just go on that, if you just call the doctors, if you just give in, all the pain will be gone, you'll be great. But you know what? I would have lost the divine presence of God, because that's where I found myself dwelling in Him. And I found safety. And He took the insanity away and gave me a sound mind. That's when I had so many anxieties. This is where you're going to be. This is how it's going to always be. You've lost the ministry. You've lost your health. You've lost your home because you'll never be able to go back there. Somebody's going to have to look after you all the time. And you know what? God gave me a sound mind. It took away the fears and the anxieties and the worries and the threatenings of the enemy. And so he wants to cover you today as he had covered me. You know, when he was talking to the disciples, he says, you can't follow me. You can't follow me unless you lose everything for my sake and take up the cross and follow me. I literally found myself, even though I was in a low state, even though I was weak in my body, in my mind and spirit, even though I was not able to talk and not able to see and hardly get around or eat or sleep or whatever, in my lowest state, I realized I had nothing, and all I had was to take up the cross and follow him. Man, that was the light that turned on for me spiritually. That I have nothing, God. I have nothing to go back to. I have another surgery coming up. And I was in a worse state after the second surgery than I was in the first. And I was the weakest and in the most pain the second time around, a week later. And God speaks to me in my spirit in all of that and says, when you have nothing, when you have lost everything, when you've gave up everything, you know what I had to give up? It wasn't my home. It wasn't my car. It wasn't my life. What I had to give up was the fight in me not to give it up. Amen. Sometimes we have the fight. And the biggest fight is we fight with ourselves that we don't want to give it up. Yet I was in a place where I'd already had to give it up. It was already gave up. I couldn't do anything. And there I am fighting in the wee hours of the morning or throughout the day in sunshine weather that I've got to give up all this when I couldn't go back to it anyway. It was already gone. And I'm fighting not to give it up. You been there? Yes, you have been there. That you can't change it. You can't change it. It was changed for me. And I had to realize that I could go into the safe place. I could go into his protection. I could go into his dwelling, in his secret place, because I had nothing else, and I had no one to go in there with me, and I had nothing in my suitcase packed. I had nothing, and I was free, and I was at a better place, and I could go in and sit there, and I could say, okay, I'm on your time clock, God. Because if I'm on his time clock, and if I'm content in where he has called me to, then better things are coming. That's the key. In some part of all of this, through the weeks that I was suffering, God spoke to me that I was at a better place. But because I was at a better place was because I was content. Have you found your contentment? Are you content in where you are? Because I'm going to tell you, things won't change until you become content to where you are. Now that is the gospel. That will preach. When you find your contentment, when you are settled, when you are in your mind, okay, God, it's your will, not my will. It's what you want, not what I want. When you get to that place of contentment, then there's a better place. There's better for you. There's greater coming. It's the Ephesians 3:20 that no matter what you pray and desire and hope for, it will be more than you could ever imagine. It will come to pass. You see, a lot of times the enemy will tell you it's not going to come to pass. God's playing games with you. He's playing tricks with you. He's working on your mind. He's like got you on strings as a puppet. That's what the enemy says. But then God says, no, I have better for you. Oh, you don't even know what's awaiting for you on the other side. If you'll just be content, if you'll just shelter yourself in me, if you just hand it all over to me, I want to tell you, what are you holding on to? Because whatever you're holding on to right now, I want to assure you that it's not going to get any better as long as you hold on to. But when you let it go, then you can go into his secret chambers. You can dwell in his tent, his presence, and you can be there carefree because you know you can trust him and depend on him, and he is going to work it out. I want you to take this word to heart today. I want you to trust this word today. I want you to hang on to this and know that he's going to cover you, because he says, I will cover thee with my hand when I pass by. And he says, cover means to cover all, to intertwine, to fence in, to defend. He's your defense, to hedge in, to join together, to set up and to shut you up, to lock you up in there. You're going to be okay. Wherever you are right now, you're going to be okay. Wherever I am right now, I'm going to be okay. And so are you. In the name of Jesus, go find your dwelling place in him and let it go. Don't take anything in there with you, because he's not going to let you. God bless you.